Hey, family. Welcome to another episode of the Black Man's Roundtable. I am your host, Rodney Butler.
I am Kevin Evans, co-moderator.
And my name is Henry Mitchell IV, and I am the guest on the Black Man's Roundtable.
As you just heard, we have a special guest tonight who's running for who's a candidate for the District 2, or shall I say the coveted District 2 county commissioner seat. And he is going to be with us tonight and ask a few questions in this interview. And we wish him luck. And before we get started, Henry, just tell us a little bit just about yourself, not necessarily the question that's on the interview. Just a little bit, real quick, of things you want people to know about you, just real quickly.
My name is Henry Mitchell IV. Most of my constituents know me as Beanie. That's a nickname.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I'm sorry. I had a call coming in. Anywho, born and raised in Douglas County, Georgia. Graduated from Douglas County High School, full scholarship to University of Louisiana Monroe. Got my degree in Mass Comm. Ended up finding my wife while I was at college. Brought her back with me here to Douglasville, Georgia. We have two beautiful children. We have a house in District 2 that we own. I'm a Fortune 5. I work for a Fortune 500 company as a project manager. A lot of things I do in the community, from youth against violence, celebrity basketball games with 107.9. I did fundraisers with 102.5 Praise. I've done comedy shows and give money back to nonprofits. I've done live band shows. I used to do music back before Corona. I've done Feed the Hungry, book bag drives, you name it, I've done these things for over a decade. I also was the co-chair of the youth at my church. I had like a mentor program called GY4L. So just in general, I've just been a servant to the citizens and to the people of Douglas County.
Okay, great. Great introduction, and I'm going to let everybody know that we before pre-production, before we started tonight, we hope that we don't have issues with Henry's device that he's using. But if we do, we're going to try to work through it. We're going to, try to make the best of it. And so just be a little patient. We weren't able to work out all the bugs, but, just fair warning that there might be a couple of technical issues that hopefully that we can work through, because this is a very important interview and it's coming down to grind time. So, but if all else fail, we will do what we got to do to get Henry back on if something catastrophic happened and we're not able to, do this interview tonight. That being said, I have the first question for tonight. I have the first question, and it is under the category of background and qualifications. Henry, what motivated you to run for the position of county commissioner?
I would say I have two motivations. One is my father. My father has been in politics within Douglas County for over 20 years. And all the things that he's accomplished for District 1, I want to do some of those things or different things in my manner for District 2. He was the liaison of getting the Highway 92 bypass. He also, I don't know if you know about the Lithia Springs Senior Center. He was a part of bringing that as well. And another thing he's done as well, we used to, it was politically correct to call the rundown areas of African American communities slum. That was a politically correct name. But he ended up getting with David Scott and got that name changed to Blight to add a little light on our communities. The second thing might kind of shock you was Trump. During Corona, that's when I really started paying attention to politics. Prior to that, I was never interested in it. But seeing Trump, how he ran his presidency or his campaign as himself, I always thought you had to play a certain role when you are in politics, but he showed the world that you can really be yourself and you can actually win. And so that was two of my greatest motivations of why I'm running for District 2 County Commissioner.
Henry, a lot of people don't understand that little factoid that you just talked about Trump and running,
yes,
and being himself. And, I think that is one little piece of credit that we can give the man is that he motivated
That's
people,
it.
especially millennials and Generation Y, is that
Yes.
because those generations are really into being themselves, and he showed them that you can
Yes.
be yourself. So you got to give credit where credit due. So thanks for bringing that up. Part two of that question,
Let me add,
Henry, is
let me,
oh, go
let
ahead,
me jump in there,
Kevin.
Rod, real
Yes, sir.
quick. Um, I got a different take on that. I'm old school, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and there's nothing you can tell me about Trump that makes any sense. I was gonna say that. So when you when you give him praise, I balk at that. And anybody that's old school, uh, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Connecticut, are gonna do the same thing. There's nothing you can tell me that's good about Trump. That's all I want to say.
I,
Okay.
I understand. I don't got any good things about him.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
I don't know if that's good or it's just a fact.
yeah.
It generationally, people are different, generationally, regionally, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But like you said, Kevin,
Hmm.
New Jersey, New York, and those kind of places, they don't, like you said, and I'm not saying you're speaking for everybody in that region, but I know you brought that up about those
We, we, we
that you're
grew up
old
with it.
school. Right.
We grew up with it.
You grew up with him. And so but believe it or not, there are people who are actually in some of these battlegrounds who might actually, see it differently as far as saying that he definitely, and I don't want to take away from what Henry said, because he definitely, showed, like, in other words, if Henry say that motivated him to get into politics, and his dad has been a politician for almost 30 years, but if that motivated him, we have to understand that probably motivated someone else too. So we just can't, ignore, you know what I'm saying? So we just, not whether it's good or bad, but it is a fact. The fact is, the man, he's Donald Trump. He didn't try to be nothing else or anything. So but part two of that, Henry, is, can you briefly outline your relevant experience and qualifications for this role?
Okay, so I am a project manager, as stated in my introduction, for a Fortune 500 company. As a project manager, we work with different teams, as you would work as a commissioner with different committees. And we bring all those teams together for one particular purpose, and that's to service the customer. So, as a commissioner, you have to work with different committees to service the citizens. So it's a managing thing when it comes to a District 2 county commissioner. And also we work with budgets. When different money things changes within my particular job, we have to figure out how to either keep the money the same or communicate of how the money is going up. So that is the same thing you have to do as a county commissioner, work with different committees and also know how to budget. So I
Okay.
do that every day on my job.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. All right, Kevin, you
Okay.
got the next one.
Alrighty. Okay, mine starts off with understanding the role. What, Mr. Henry, in your view, are the primary responsibilities of the county commissioner?
Um, Work with different committees and budgeting, but in particular, meet with certain department heads within our committee to figure out what it is that they need, what can we possibly cut back on, because it's sometimes when we get to the end of the year, certain committees aren't spending all their money. So if we can allocate that money to another direction, or maybe we can also lower the taxes by lowering that budget, that's another thing. So, and also the main thing for the county commissioner is to service the citizens. That's the main thing. Find out what the citizens desire, communicate with them what we can and can't do as commissioners. See if we can get it done as the board of commissioners to service the people. So the main role is to service the people.
Gotcha. Okay. Second part to that, excuse me. How familiar are you with the current challenges and opportunities facing the county?
Very familiar, but within my, and I think this is not a District 2 thing. I think this is a Douglas County thing. Within Douglas County, we have a lot of car washes and dollar stores popping up everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
And so that is one of the biggest things that people have an issue with. But in doing the research behind it, the education side is a business, all they need is a building permit to start building. So we can't really stop them, but what we can do is reallocate and figure out how we can change our building permits to say, okay, all right, maybe we don't want to have a car wash within the next mile, so we can kind of spread them apart, right? And the second thing is a lot of the warehouses being built around certain neighborhoods. Not sure if you're familiar with Factory Shows Road. It's a neighborhood over there, and they also have warehouses being built around them, and Amazon is about to pop up around them as well, which could possibly lower their value. So those are the two main issues that I would definitely try to tackle once I get in the position.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. The next category is community engagement, which is very, very important to me and others. How do you plan to engage with and represent the diverse interests within our community?
I think we have to, as commissioners and as a county, we have to step it up a level and meet people where they are. Right now, we're on social media. So we need to be social media friendly with getting the information out. They need to know how the procurement process works. They need to know when the meetings are going to be. It should be a notification as we can pop up on people's phones, say, hey, we're having a meeting in X amount of hours or X amount of time. It should be the agenda should go out every month to those who would like to add, not even add, but wonder what we're talking about in the meeting. Because I know right now it's kind of hard to get that agenda to and understand what's going on in meetings. So we need to make it easily accessible for citizens to figure out what's going on. So we got to meet them where they are. So we're going to have to be social media friendly. Our website is very hard to navigate through, even for me. So ultimately, we have to upgrade our website and upgrade how we get the information out to the people so everybody can know what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with closed circuit TV or whatever, that the DC TV or whatever, what the county commissioner uses right now. And I think that particular medium has its place. Okay. But like you're saying, most people hardly, very few people have a clue that even exists. And
Sure.
so I personally would appreciate it if you so were to become a commissioner, if you really get into that, and since you said it right here on the Black Man's Roundtable, man, I'm gonna have to hold you to every time I see you. I'm gonna be like, hey, Henry, what about that? What about that? What about
but,
yeah, go ahead.
But our generation, we're on social media.
Yeah,
We don't watch TV, we stream.
well,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So ultimately, it's like you got to meet us where we are, and we are the future that's coming up. So if we're the future, we got to attack the future how they want to be attacked.
absolutely. I'm 100% behind that, man. And and I'm I'm in Generation X, so I say we are the bridge that try to bridge the gap with the millennials and with the baby boomers. We're kind of stuck in the middle, and everybody just pointing at us. But we're just trying to do that. And so yeah, I really wish that would be something that is on. What you already said, it's high on your agenda if you become a commissioner, and yeah, so good stuff.
I think you're bridging the gap right now, just by interviewing me.
Yeah.
I'm 33. I'm sure you probably, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say up in age, but
I'm
but
up there.
it's
Yeah.
but this is how we bridge the gap, because
Yeah.
it's, if you notice, each generation has their own thought process of thinking and how they move. But the only way
Absolutely.
to bridge the gap is to communicate.
Yeah,
And you're
community
doing it now.
community engagement is a big piece of, and that's why I'm allowing you to expound on that, because community engagement is a big part of communication. You can try to engage. Look, now, even we still knock on doors, and we still do those kind of things. Don't get me wrong, but when you are in an environment, in today's environment, where if you walk up somebody's driveway, you liable to get shot. You know, you
Oh my
really,
goodness.
you really. I mean, you see, you. I know you know about the teenagers that went in the wrong driveway, and next thing you know, somebody's
Mm-hmm.
shooting at them or whatever. You used to be able to
Mm-hmm.
pull in somebody's driveway and turn around because you go in the wrong
Mm-hmm.
direction. Now, man, you better go
Mm-hmm.
down the street and figure out some kind of other way. So so yeah, we're gonna have to definitely look at ways to engage with our community, than knocking on people's doors and stuff like that. So part two of that, Henry, is what steps will you take to ensure transparency and accessibility in your decision making process? And it's still under community engagement.
Gotcha. And particularly with transparency, I want to incorporate us having a town hall meeting once a month, but with different departments within our county. So they can explain what it is that they do, what they don't do, the mistakes that they made. Because we're in a place to where when you make a mistake, we try to bury it but we're humans. Everybody makes mistakes. We want to hear you made a mistake, how you gonna do to fix it, and what's gonna be your next step to make sure this doesn't happen again, right? So with our sheriff department, I want transparency once a month with them, not every month, but of course each department differently, right? Fire department, E911, the procurement, right? So they can explain to the people what's going on. I think the more people are educated, the more they'll actually know what's going on within our county. Second, with accountability, is I'm going to make myself accessible to the people. You want to meet, we can meet. I'll give you an example right now. This week, you guys are the third meeting that I've had in this week, right? I'm going to make myself available to citizens, make myself accountable to the citizens. So if you want to hold me accountable for whatever reason, I'll make myself available. Email. You want to meet up on Zoom as we're meeting now. This probably a new thing I'm gonna add to the bunch. Instead of just meet people face to face, let's meet up on Zoom, right? This is a lot more convenient in this day and age. If you want
Yes.
it, but I know some people are old school, so they want you to come to their house. That's fine, right? But ultimately as citizens, excuse me, as commissioners, we have to make ourselves accessible to the people.
Yes, sir. All right, Kevin, if you don't
I
have
think I
anything on
think
that.
Kevin got a scratching. I
Oh,
think he might be on mute, Kevin. I can't hear you, Kevin.
Kevin, we lost your sound.
Hold on. How about
Okay,
now?
got you back. Yep,
We
got you
got you.
back.
We got you.
And now we just lost you again. Kevin, we had you for a second when you said, "How about now?"
Can
So
you hear
do
me?
whatever you. Yeah, stay right there. Yep.
Okay.
Don't move, Kev.
All right, we
All
got
right.
you.
Go ahead.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, Going back to be for the second question, being a project manager.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in your role as a project manager, you got to make a decision that's not going to be popular with your constituents. How do you navigate that?
Communication. That's the big thing about transparency. Hey, this decision has to be made. I know it's not the best decision that you guys would have made, but this is going to save us in the future and explain my reasons why. It's impossible for me to please every single person in
Everybody.
District 2, or it's impossible. Some people just not gonna like me just because of the way I look.
Right.
so
You got that.
so so I only can do the best thing I do. But when I do make a decision, I'm gonna make sure the community is involved on my decision making.
Okay. And one of the other things, maybe a little small thing,
Go
um,
ahead.
people are going to probably, or they already will, compare you to the last District 2 commissioner. How do you differentiate yourself?
I do it just by naturally who I am, right? I'll give you an example. And this is a small example, but my nickname is Beanie, but that's going to be on the ticket. Name a commissioner that ever put his nickname on the ticket, right? I've been way more. No offense to the current, or I guess he kind of stepped down, but no offense to the ex commissioner, but he wasn't as involved in the community as I was. I'm deeply involved with it. I'm deeply involved with the youth. I've been to schools talking to the kids. I've done those things, but that's not to take away that he hasn't done good things, because he has. But I'm already a different person in general from the district county commissioner. He also voted on, um, and he probably had good reason before the Amazon data center to be near that neighborhood on Factory Shows. Now I don't know why, but that's one thing he voted on. That's something that I wouldn't have voted on due to trying to help out those citizens the best way we can. Now, I don't know if you guys know about Thorn Road, but it's really just businesses over there. And that neighborhood was over there first. But so they're kind of in a rock and a hard place, but I would want to service them the best way that we can as commissioners.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Next question. Infrastructure and service.
hmm
What priorities do you have for improving local infrastructure, such as roads, public transportation, and utilities?
Okay, so when it comes to the roads, sadly, we we won't ever get to a place where we have enough money to pave all of the roads in Douglas County. It's all we can do is really just put band-aids on certain areas, and where people are most busy, that's probably going to be where our focus is. But a way that we can kind of help that situation out is be in communications with the Senate and the state reps is when that federal money come down. Hey, I know we all grasping for it in each county and Douglas County, but get a good reason why we need it. Reach out to GDOT to see if we can get some type of direction over here because we are in need of it. Now, granted, everywhere is in need, and it's only so many federal tax dollars we can get, but it's really just be an advocate for Douglas County when it comes to those Senate seats and those people and sitting in those positions. When it comes to public transportation, we have I think we need to upgrade it. I don't know if you guys know about we have a bus system, but we stay in a rural area. Unlike Atlanta, where you can 5 minutes away jump out your house and get to the bus system, ours are in rural areas. So some citizens have to walk a mile and a half or even more just to get to a bus stop. So I would want to analyze that a little deeper to say, okay, do we want to make more stops? And if we are making more stops, let's be very strategic about how we're making more stops because I wouldn't want my elderly grandmother, she's passed away, but if she was still here, to be walking a mile and a half going to the grocery store and have to walk a mile and a half back when she get off the bus. It just doesn't make logical sense. But I understand what we're up against because we're in a rural area. And when it comes to the utilities, I definitely want to focus on the parks when it comes to utilities. We just built Boundary Waters, which is very beautiful, but we
Nice.
have an older part of Deer Lake Park, right? So a lot of the playgrounds and it's pretty old, which doesn't make it safe for our children. So I would speak with David Good. He's over Splotch to see if we can possibly carve out a little bit more of that money to dedicate to the parks that are run down so we can upgrade it like a Boundary Waters, right? See if we can apply for different grants to get us those safe. Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, I would hope there's a grant out there that say, hey, if you need money to upgrade your parks for safety reasons, we got you. Right. So ultimately, that's one thing that I will focus on is try to beautify the parks as if Boundary Water. So that way you're comfortable going to any park and not have to travel to different parks just because of the safety hazard out there.
Yeah, because Boundary Waters is really nice.
Really nice. I mean, but
Really
it's brand
nice.
new built though. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know,
So
but it's nice.
yeah, it's very nice.
Okay, second part. How do you plan to address the current state of essential services like education, healthcare, and public safety?
Okay. So I'll start with education. So, of course, as Board of Commissioners, we have no control over the school board, but we can be an advocate about things that we desire. So, one thing that I definitely desire that's in my actual platform is I want to create more internships for our high school students. Right now, we have Google, and they teach our children, and they pay for everything, by the way, so it's not coming out of tax dollars. They teach our kids coding. I want to expand that. We got a movie studio being built, so let's see if we can add that to the bunch. We also have a radio station, 104.5, My City, with Corey Country. Well, let's add that to the bunch. Because right now, when we think about colleges, they've taken away affirmative action in colleges. So we need to create another route for our kids who don't want to go to college and say, hey, you got these routes over here. You can. My biggest thing is we need to learn trades, and I know that's they say it's a thing of the past, but in the past it worked. When we had trades, we was able to provide for our communities, and we had our children had something to do right out of high school. So I want to kind of bring that old school trade back to our children, so that way they're they're able to make different decisions and not forced to go to college. When it comes to the healthcare, that's another place that we don't really have true control over. But the most thing that I can do is get on board, find out what it is that they do, find out what do they need, and see if we can help them as county commissioners, and we can come to a place of agreement. And the third thing was public safety. Now that's something we do have control over. And I've met with the department heads of E911, and she told me that she needs more workers. Right now, she has about 7 workers daily, and they have to deal with all of the calls. She said she would like to separate it to where one portion deals with police calls, another person deals with the citizens call. So that way, it's not so much burden on 7 people. You know what I'm saying? So I would want to expand that department and help her to help our citizens out to become a little bit more, quicker with the time calls. So that's go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You sounding
So
good.
yeah, so that's I mean, and I appreciate you, Kevin, but ultimately I had to be educated with what's going on in our community to know how to speak about these things. I went and walked it, and sometimes they have to spend a night there. They're working 15, 12-hour shifts. I'm like, whew, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So it makes me care for them a little bit more because they are the first responders. So I'm definitely that'll be one of my things that I'm focusing on to see how much money we can allocate over there without raising our taxes, because I understand that nobody wants their taxes raised, but we want a lot of these
right,
services to run smoothly. So it's finding that median point with the citizens and our public safety department.
right. One of the things I wanted to add into that, um, I really appreciated when I grew up taking wood shop, metal shop, drafting. Those are those are tangible things that I can do prior to going to college. I did go to college and the military, but I had a skill set already. And
Yes.
they took those away, like home economics. I took that for the girls, but still I took it. You know what I mean? They took those kind
Mm-hmm.
of things away. One of the things I would wonder about the public safety piece that you talked about. Why not encompass that into some kind of senior employment opportunity where you got seniors that are sitting at home looking to do something? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? If they're sitting at home, they can use a couple extra dollars here and there. They'll be great
Mm-hmm.
people to put in the 911 and systems like that. Just a thought.
Yes. And I totally agree. And I must say this as well. It's a strenuous process to get a
Okay,
job over there because you have to be very quick with everything.
gotcha,
Right? You got to think when you're calling in and somebody's trying to hurt you, you got to be quick with getting that officer there, typing everything where you are. So you have to be in, and a lot of people don't make it. So that's
gotcha,
why it's only a handful of people that's working over there because they can't get past that first process. So that's her reasoning of why she wants to separate it so it's not so strenuous with the process, which is you have to learn everything. Now you only learn just one section of the calls. So it'll be
gotcha,
easier for individuals to actually learn that. But as far as seniors, yeah, if they can go through that strenuous process, why not? You got the job, and you do have seniors that work over there. It ain't just you know what I'm saying, young people. But yeah, it's definitely a strenuous process, and I would love to see seniors over there working.
thank you, sir.
No problem.
Yeah. So Henry, infrastructure and services are it's that category or that topic is always kind of a long one because like some of the other topics, it is one of those topics that your constituents can see,
Hmm.
and they see on a daily basis infrastructure
Hmm.
and then the services. Um, so it seems like we beat that one up a little bit. So I'm going to continue to beat it up a little bit, right? So I'm just trying to forewarning you a little bit that we're not quite ready to move on yet because of
That's
the
fine.
infrastructure and services. But this and also this category or this topic is one that the listeners they really kind of lean in on when they watch
Hmm.
the when they watch the recorded version or if they're out there watching it right now the live version. So you talked about education. And Kevin kind of alluded to it when Kevin said, "Hey, back in the day, he appreciated taking home ec and shop and all those things, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I talk a lot about that. I believe, well, at least in Georgia, I believe that my graduating class in high school, um, or not my class particularly, but that era of the late '80s, right? Were the last ones to get like economics. I still remember. I tell people all the time. I remember my economics teacher, and who happened to be a Vietnam veteran that I learned later on, and so. But I have two daughters, and I know that they didn't get that stuff, and so you talked about bringing back or not bringing back but talking about Google and getting people, getting these young kids, ready to go right into the workforce and make good money and good jobs. Well, I just think that it was to take stuff like economics out of school, high school, and to take like civics out of high school, but also taking those hands-on jobs. I think it was by design,
Yeah,
and I absolutely think it was by design, and it has
totally
really
agree.
really hurt the country over the past 30, 40 years. Now, you said about getting the Google in. What do you think about, and you can kind of get back on that if you want to, but also talk about things like let us know how you feel about bringing civics and economics back into the classroom as well, high school.
I, I, it's needed. I graduated. We didn't learn any skills, any economic skills. What they did was they're raising the kids to be employees.
Right.
They're not
Yes.
raising us to be entrepreneurs, have a trade. They're not doing that. And so we have to combat that. And I've spoken with Trent North about it, man. And we have some agreeable, disagreeable conversations about it because he said, well, we offer it, but the students have to travel to a community college to take it. My take is, it's like it should be a requirement.
Yes.
Before you leave high school, this is what you are going to at least be introduced to. And I'm gonna tell you one thing I'm doing with my children, and I got two boys, and I know they hate it right now, but they're gonna love it later. So right now, I have my son in piano classes. When he turns 12, he is going to learn how to cut hair from 12 to 18. These are a skill and a trade that I know for a fact he is going to make money no matter what the situation is.
Absolutely.
And guess what? If he decides to go to college, he is going to major in something that is going to be a trade that he's going to, for a fact, make money in. He's not going to college to major in communications, and I'm a communication major, so I know what's going on. A lot of these degrees means nothing. It means nothing. I play football, and I feel for the athletes. That's one of my passions because the coaches, they sell a dream to these athletes, and they got them majoring in general studies, but really they just want them to play football so they don't have to have hard schoolwork. And by the time they graduate, they don't know what to do.
Right.
A lot of my friends, they didn't go to the NFL, so when it was time to figure out the workforce, they were stuck with low end jobs. How do you have a degree stuck with low end jobs? So my biggest thing is me working with the school board has been an advocate on trying or seeing what ways can we do to get those things back into the schools. That's big for me.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. And all this goes back to that all politics is local, but we got to understand that there's only so much that the school board can do. And I know you kind of alluded to that a little bit. What we have to understand is getting out there and voting, for our state superintendent, those kind of things, because the state writes the curriculum, and, and the, the local school boards have to, push down what they say. So we really need to get out there and vote. And one other thing I think but also in some of those skills that we need that does require college degrees, because we're not just saying that, okay, you don't need a college degree anymore, and what good is a college degree, but I think that there are many people starting to question their college degree and their college education, but also I know Cobb County, and I don't we're going to I think we're going to get into it a little bit to where you get to talk about or you put in here encompass other, surrounding, and how you're going to work with other people, other organizations, and around you, not just here in Douglas County. But I know one of the things that Cobb County did is addressing their teacher shortage, right?
Mm,
Is that, and I thought about it when you talked about the high, when I think Kevin talked about it too, getting these high school students to do things right now that they can go right into the to that employment, or they can actually be employed while they are in high school. And I
mm-hmm.
think one of the things that Cobb County did, you might have to look into it a little bit further, is that they addressed their teacher shortage through recruiting their seniors. They're high school
Mm,
seniors, and and just already paying off, kind of like the military, what the military does a little bit, already paying off. They go to school, they get a teaching degree and all that, and they went to those Cobb County schools, and they go right into the teaching profession. And you keep them at home, basically. You keep them, where they went to school at. So it's just another thing that I thought about when Kevin was talking about the high school students, working and stuff, and then when you were talking about it a little bit. So I just wanted to just, put that in your ear before we closed out that topic.
I got a question for
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir.
When you say, and they're recruiting high school students, so the students are graduating, and then they are becoming the teachers while they're going to school.
I don't know for sure, but I just remember
Okay.
reading. I remember reading where I think I know while the students are seniors, I don't know, maybe they do surveys, I'm not really sure, but they
Mm-hmm.
they start to kind of recruit them and mold them to be, to be these teachers, once they graduate high school and then go on to college. I think they do stuff while they're in college, teachers
Mm-hmm.
assistants and things like that. But they did. I just remember it was Cobb County, and I remember them saying that they addressed that they don't have any more teacher shortages because of what they did with those high school
Mm.
seniors. So I'm not an expert on it, so it might be something that you might want to look into, since we're
I
kind of
wrote it
talking.
down.
Yeah, since
Yeah,
we're
I
kind of
wrote it
talking
down.
about it, and we need to look at what our other surrounding counties are doing well and what they're doing poor, so that way we can be better. All right, Henry, we lost your visual. Um,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
Yeah.
got
My
you back.
bad.
Nope, got you back.
Gotcha.
Okay, Kevin. Yeah, we didn't. I think we we usually speed up that category, that topic. So Kevin, I think no, I got the next one. We didn't
No, you get the
been on it
next
so
one.
long. Yeah, we've been on it so long. Okay. Now social issues. Social issues. All right. How do you plan to address social issues such as affordable housing, homelessness, and mental health services within the county?
Okay, so I'll start with affordable housing. The thing about affordable housing is if you pull 10 people randomly out of the citizens and say what's affordable to you, you'll get 10 different answers. So I think the goal needs to be is bring in our financial community and have them teach the people how to raise their income, how to build their credit, different loan options they can get for housing. Now, one thing that we could do as citizens is not citizens, excuse me, as board of commissioners, we could plot a land and say, hey, when you build on this land, only $150,000 worth of houses can be in this land, right? So you're going to get one or two things. The first thing that you may get is, let's say I stay in a 4 bedroom, 2 bath. So let's say my house is worth 300,000. So now when it comes to that particular house, if it's going to be 150, then it's going to have to be a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, right? So that's one option that we can do. Now, another option is as far as what if they would have built a 4 bedroom, 2 bath for 150,000. So now my property value goes down. So you got to be very, very careful with kind of how you kind of do things when it comes to affordable housing. But the biggest thing is let the financial committed community teach our citizens how they can raise their income to afford these houses. And not to get off subject, but when you think about the housing crisis when it comes to them being high, it got high after Corona. So we got to ask ourselves what happened during Corona, where they gave out a lot of money. You know what? They want that money back. So the way they get their money back is to beat inflation on everything that's kind of going on. Right. The second part is, I think we said was homelessness. That's and homelessness as well. That's a very subjective subject, right? When I say that, because I had two uncles that stayed in tents most of their lives. One just passed away last year. And if you were to tell them that they're homeless, they would look at you crazy. They wanted to be outside. They wanted to be that was their thing, right? So we already have organizations in our community that helps out the homeless, but when they help them out, they give them different resources. They need food, they got it, right? If it gets too cold outside, we have warming centers that they can have. So for us as commissioners is to work with those organizations that's already providing resources to the homeless to see how we can help build their organizations to help them even more. And the third thing we said was mental health services. Now, with mental health services, we have something called the Community Service Board, and their budget got cut this year from $1 million, a million and two, but their budget got cut by $1 million. So with their budget being cut, I know a lot of the constituents look at, well, why would the Board of Commissioners cut their budget from $1 million, and what's going on? Do they really care about mental health? Well, the thing about it is they had an $800,000 grant that they got during Corona, but now that grant is up, and so the Board of Commissioners was asking them, say, hey, can you provide receipts if we're going to take on that ticket? But they were unable to provide the receipts. Now, um, duly note that the Community Service Board never had to provide receipts in the past. So this was a new thing. But when you get grants and things of that nature, you have to provide receipts. So it's not their fault. They just was going off of how they normally do business. So to expand that particular area, I would want to see if the school board and the city council can help us out in allocating more money into that pot bucket. So it's just not on the Board of Commissioners. So it's really just expanding that mental health fight with them and helping us grow our community. Now, granted, there is no $1 million they can say, hey, this will end all mental health. It's going to be an ongoing fight. So it's just providing them with as much resources as we can.
I got a question,
Okay,
Rodney.
couple of.
Got a question.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Right.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay.
But
So, Mr. Henry, how do you um, address the fact of homelessness, and the
mhm,
people that are housed? Because everybody will come out and bring a bag of rice, but they don't want you to have a homeless building in their neighborhood. Homelessness is great, but don't put it over here. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
How do you address
mhm.
that?
We definitely have to find that median point, right? If the citizens I would love to have a homeless shelter, right? But that's going to come out of the citizens' pocket. So I would want to communicate with the citizens, say, hey, is this something that we want? And is it okay if we raise our millage rate so we can make that happen, right? So nobody wants their taxes being raised, but people want things to be done. It got to find that median point. Me personally, I know for a fact my uncles, they're not going to stay in no type of area, no
Right.
type of home. They want to be outside. And a lot of times we view those people as something being mentally wrong with them. But it's like you have some people that don't desire to actually be inside of a walled or a brick wall location. So I think that'll be something that I would want to communicate with the citizens about before making that tough decision to say, hey, let's allocate some of our tax dollars towards this location.
Okay. Thank you.
A lot of times, I don't like some of the new verbiage that they use to describe things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we spend so much time trying to be so politically correct that whatever we're defining kind of loses its definition. But I do somewhat like them moving from saying homeless to unhoused for the reason that we've talked about already, which is that homelessness, like you said, is subjective. Some people, what you call homeless, somebody may not call homeless, but
Mm-hmm.
unhoused is kind of unhoused. You don't have the roof over your head, and so I
Correct.
think that
Mm-hmm.
we let's address, like you're saying, the unhoused, the people who want a roof over their head, versus the homelessness things. Because years ago, when I did, some work with, homeless veterans, I quickly realized, and I was confused, but I quickly realized, like, wait a minute, he want to be here, like Kevin's saying. I want to be a roof over his head. Some of it had sometimes it had things to do with medical stuff, but sometimes it just didn't. There's a lot of environmentalists out there that's never been in the military that feels the same way. So I definitely think that that's one of the terminology that I think that was a good change is looking at unhoused versus homelessness. And I know you asked, what happened during
Corona.
COVID. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, like you said, a lot of money was given to folks. And so nothing had really changed so much with inflation. I'm gonna tell you what it is, Henry. It's just straight up
Educate
price.
me.
It's just straight up price gouging, man. People know that people were given a lot of money, and it's like, okay, like with this whole thing with Wendy's doing right now, right?
Lower, yeah,
Raising the
service
price.
price.
Yeah, it's just gouging. They know that
Gotcha.
people, because if you look at it, right, people can't figure out for the life, well, they act like they can't figure out for the life of them, like, okay, so why are prices grocery just skyrocketing, but since after COVID, but inflation is staying the same, wages, people minimum wage, nothing has happened. It's like, well, what? Well, it's just simply greed and price gouging
I
from the,
agree.
yeah, that's all it is, man. I mean, and then lastly, you talked about the CSB and you talked about the budget being cut and that kind of thing, and you're absolutely right. And the CSB was asked to do something that the community service board was asked to do something that they are, that they weren't used to doing. They was doing business
Correct.
as usual, as business as usual. And so, but like you said, they got those grants and stuff have to change because you got to report, grants. It's a little bit different. You got to report stuff
Correct.
higher than, what the pay grade you're used to, reporting stuff to. But that being said, you being on the commission, okay,
Hmm.
do you also think, like you said, it wasn't the CSB's fault, but you didn't assign fault, and I'm not. But do you think that the county commission should have had more oversight on that to keep to keep that situation from happening, with the CSB and the budget?
Yeah, especially when a grant got involved.
Yeah,
And this is me. I can't speak for the commissioners, but
got it.
the money they was probably giving them wasn't like a huge amount to where they needed to pay attention to it. They seen the work being done, so it was like, okay, all right, so this X amount of dollars, the community will be okay with. We probably had extra funds in the budget to allocate over there. But when it gets to the millions, that's when it started to change the game, because all of the agencies within the commissioner have to show receipts. That is the only agency that never had to show receipts, right? Because it was kind of like a non-profit to a certain extent, right? So you don't expect non-profits to show us their receipts. You just like, okay, I know you guys are doing good work. Let me just try to help you out. But yes, I do think that definitely needs to happen, and the board of commissioners definitely has changed their outlook on paying attention to that particular the board to figure out where their money is going. So now they report to them every 3 months, and then they reconvene on how much money is being allocated to them. So they got it cut, but it actually may not be cut as we go throughout the year.
Got it. Thank you, sir. Kevin?
No problem.
So the second part?
No, no,
Okay,
it's crisis management. Yep.
okay, okay. Crisis management. How would you handle a crisis situation affecting the county, such as a natural disaster or public health emergency?
Well, the plus side about that is we already have something in place. In meeting with the E911 director, so when it's a crisis, I can't remember when it was. I was at college during this time. It might have been a flood or a cold. Something happened where citizens were stuck and couldn't move. So we have a area at the E911 location where they grab all of the commissioners, the fire department, the county police officers, and they have different machines that provide the pickups for these people so we can meet and figure out where do we need to go next and what we kind of need to do to kind of help those citizens that are in need. So the plus side about that is I particularly don't have to do anything because we already have something in place in Douglas County.
Well, one of the things I want to add to that, sir,
Go ahead.
is what you could be possibly talking about is the floods in Austell. that was a disaster. Okay. Second of all, which happened twice, was Snowmageddon. Nobody seemed to know where to go. People parking on 285 for weeks, dying on 285. So, um, everybody was blaming everybody, but nobody was doing nothing. Those are the
Mm.
things that we need to already have a plan for today and be prepared when that happens again.
Yeah. So what I found out, and I wasn't, I guess, around during those times because I was at school, is in speaking with her, we have certain machines that can get through that snow to get to whoever they need to kind of help them out. So we do have those machines currently in Douglas County.
Okay, okay, all right. The next part of the question is what measures do you believe are necessary to enhance the county's preparedness for emergencies? You just kind of answered it.
Yeah, but I would definitely say if we could um, allo- allocate more money for the particular machines that we're able to do. So if we have one, I wouldn't mind doing two. So that way we're able to help multiple people out at a time and not just, hey, I'm gonna come back and get you situation. You know what I'm saying? If we could have more people out there working those machines, making sure people are good, that would be great.
Now, are these machines housed in the same building, or are you going to strategically place them throughout the county or the district?
It's currently housed in one area, but as you're giving me ideas, I think it definitely should
Yeah,
be in different
they,
locations. Yeah,
they got to
exactly.
be
Yeah.
separate
Mm-hmm.
because disasters going to happen all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and it's finding those locations that we can kind of put it in, make sure it's not messed with. Right now, they're in a secure location to where nobody can't mess with it. So it's really
Gotcha.
just finding those locations to where we can safely put it to where we know, no kid or somebody won't kind of come over there and start tapping buttons.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank
All
you.
right. Appreciate it, Kevin. Next topic is public input and decision making. Um, how will you seek input from the community when making important decisions?
All right. So part of my platform is called Cultivating Citizens. Another way of cultivating is educating. So, what I plan on doing is meeting once a month with the citizens in District 2, but of course, other citizens are able to come as well if they would like. And meeting them face to face to let them know what's going on, what's coming up the pipeline, and actually get their opinions about what they desire as far as our decision making. I think the biggest thing is certain citizens. It's hard for them to keep up with what's going on. But if I'm able to meet with them, break it down in layman terms, I'm a person. I like to break stuff down on a third grade level because I like the information very easy. So for the citizens, I'm gonna break it down to. I'm not gonna say all these big words to make to talk over your heads. We're gonna have natural conversations and break it down to you so you know what's going on, so you understand what we can and can't do as commissioners. And so that's how I'm going to get the citizen involved. But on top of that, with going to these different small businesses, I'm also advocating for small businesses. I'm promoting their business. When we get there, people are going to spend money. They're going to find out about the small business. So my next biggest thing is really growing the small businesses within District 2.
Great. I appreciate what you said about breaking it down, and um, and we're talking about how will you seek input, and I think you get your best input from citizens when you break things down. I think a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
our elected officials go out there and they talk all this language that no one can understand, and
Come on.
and I
Yeah.
always I'm a firm believer in that. You know, the smartest person, you can gauge someone on how well they know whatever it is that they're talking about if they can break it down, like you said, to a third grade level, right? Because third grade is where you stop learning to read, right? You stop learning to read and you read to learn at third grade. So if
Mm-hmm.
we if a person who's educated can break down whatever their expertise is to where a child can get it, you know that they learned everything they needed to learn in college or wherever they learned it from. But if all you doing is getting out there regurgitating a bunch of stuff you learned in college that can't nobody understand it but college students, then guess what? You don't know what you're talking about. You just regurgitating stuff. So I appreciate you saying going out there and talking to, your constituents, and breaking it down to where they can get it. And that also shows your constituent and it shows others that you know what you're talking about. Because if you can't break it
And
down, you don't know what you're talking
mhm.
about, honestly, in my opinion.
And to be honest with you, I really think politicians or political people do that so because they don't want any questions being asked,
Exactly.
right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
they don't want individuals to know exactly what it is that they're doing. I want to educate you enough to where if you feel like you can run in my position and beat me, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? I'm not afraid of losing this position because this position is to serve. If you serve better, I want to teach you how to serve better. I've done my part, right? So
And
I think that's the biggest thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, and I think that's what you was kind of alluding to a little bit earlier, when we kind of talked about, what's his name, when we first started the program, is that, I think that Democrats in general can do a much better job. We can't just always criticize, other folks or opposition or whatever. We also have to learn from other people, right? But this
Mm-hmm.
is one of the things that I think that one side does better than the other as far as breaking it down, even though it might be lies or whatever. But at least breaking it
Right.
to where the people can understand it. And sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's just another lesson. So I just want to go back to I think that's kind of what you was talking about a little bit when we first started the program about what's his name. So that being said, we'll move on to the second one. So I hope everybody is listening really to that, is that stop talking in not silo, stop talking in uh, all this way above people head stuff. If you're a political leader, get out there and put it where the people can understand it. Second part of it, Henry, is in what ways will you ensure that diverse voices are heard and considered?
I'll talk about something that I've done. Right. So I
Okay.
don't know if you guys know we used to have a Confederate statue that sits in front
Oh
of the
yes, sir.
courthouse. Right. I was on the front line of getting that statue removed. I was the When you think about the Confederate statue, it's only for a certain group of people. Now, while I was out there, I definitely had people yelling at me of the I don't want to of other
Yeah,
nations,
got it.
right? They were calling me names, everything else, but I understood that having that up is not a representation of all people of Douglas County because we have a very diverse people. So ultimately, when I see something that's not diverse, I'm going to speak out on it. I don't care who likes it or dislikes it. If it's for the masses of the people, I will speak out on it. Right. So I helped to get that removed, and we already have a very diverse, I would say, different jobs within our BOC and our committees. So we already practice that. It's just when you see things, you need to say things, and if it needs to be done, you need to be able to do it. So I'm a frontline candidate who's not afraid to, I would say in our generation, to tell it like it is.
Absolutely.
All right, Kevin, you got
Absolutely.
the last topic.
Okay. We're talking long term vision.
Mm-hmm.
What is your long term vision for the county and what steps do you plan to take to achieve it?
Okay. One of my long-term visions, and I know I'm going to possibly step on toes with this one, um, but I would like to merge our county police officers, our city police officers, and our school board police officers all under one entity. Um, it's separated currently. To me, it's for political reasons, to be honest with you. But when something happens at the school, an officer shouldn't have to wait until the big officer get there to take care of the problem. We need to already be there so we can have a faster response time, right? So ultimately, that's a long-term goal that I've communicated with Chief Sparks about it, Sheriff Tim Pounds. I've also communicated with some council members, some BOC members, and so I've been in communication to say like, hey, could we possibly make this happen? Me and Trent North, we definitely um, we got some disagreements on that because he said it used to be like that in the past, but certain things occurred to where he separated himself. But I'm trying to bring that back, and it's not about us as adults; it's about the kids. That creates a better relationship when you have your officers in the schools and they see the kids outside of the schools. Because when you think about our children, some of them look like grown men and young women. So, as an officer, if I don't know that you are a teenager, I'm going to treat you like an adult. And I think that's where a lot of kind of slip ups kind of come when it comes to different officers. So that's a long-term goal, is to get that merge, and that can also possibly lower the taxes across the board, because now we don't have three different police chiefs we're paying. Now we're possibly only paying one, right? Now when it comes to the officers, right, they're all getting paid the same across the board. So it's a give and take situation. That's my long-term goal, and how I plan on
Henry,
doing that.
Before you move
Go ahead, I'm
on,
sorry.
real quick, I just want to, because you've you've invoked Trent North's name a couple of times, and I don't know if we had an opportunity or if you even had an opportunity to say who he is. But to make
Oh,
sure
okay.
this is moderated correctly, I just want people to know that when Henry Mitchell say Trent North, he's talking about the superintendent of Douglas County school system.
And Trent North is a great guy. I love him. So this is, I'm not throwing any shade with him.
Right.
It just
I just want
seems
to make sure
a
that
young,
people know exactly who you're
yeah.
talking about, because I can't
I
remember
got
the
you.
first time when you mentioned him. I can't remember if you said his title. So I just
I
want
did not say
to.
that.
Okay. Hey.
My apologies. I did
That, no,
not
no,
say
no.
that.
You're
Yeah.
good. That's what moderation. That's what we're here for. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Yeah. Trent North is a great guy. I always looked up to him. So I've always kind of asked those questions to him. We have a good relationship. I'll say that much. So yeah. So
Good
that's
deal.
one thing that I would definitely want to, it's my goal to kind of do that based off of, because I don't know if you guys know this or not, our listeners, most of the crimes being committed in our community are between the ages of 13 and 19. So we need to find different ways of attacking that particular group. Now this is off subject. I do have, not only with the getting our county police officers back in the schools, but secondly, I want to create a number for them to text or call when they have situations going on. Because in that generation coming up, and even in our generation, we probably was the one that started it. We had like a no snitch thing. We don't want to tell on anybody until it comes to our front door. That's when we want to tell the world. But I think an individual will be less likely to commit a crime if they are text messages away from being told on. So that's just a little small thing that I want to incorporate. I've spoken with Lieutenant Pounds about it, and he's 100% on board. So it's my goal to um, merge all of our officers together within our different entities in Douglas County to help not only lower the taxes, but help create a better relationship with our youth, our students between that age group.
Okay. See,
Hmm.
I'm old school, Mr. Henry. So I'm like Gary Coleman. I'm gonna snitch every time. I'm snitching every time.
But I think too it's our influence, right? I don't think you
Right,
guys had rappers or your musical icons influencing you to do the things that you're not supposed to do, right?
right.
So ultimately, the music and the entertainers, they're making it a lot worse for our children, and we are being indoctrinated by these things. So I'm trying to figure out ways how to fight that indoctrination.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
My final part of my question, sir. How will you measure success during your term in office?
I will measure my success based off of what the citizens communicate to me. I'm here to serve. I'm not here to say, "Hey, look at this accolade of what I did." If I see the community going smoothly and making it easier for the citizens, that's how I measure my success. As long as citizens are talking to me and letting me know what it is that they need, I'm not done. So this is a job that my success won't be measured until the end.
Will you have sort of like a pseudo public dashboard that you can post to say, during my first term, I'm going to do one, two, three, four. Then at the conclusion of your term before the next election, you review it and say, this is what
Mm.
I've accomplished.
I got you. I got you. And I don't want to, I guess, boast or brag. You know what I'm saying? Because I know some commissions like to boast or brag, and they use that as their thing of why people should dedicate their vote to them. But I definitely have a platform of crime reduction, cultivating citizens, and community building. I don't know how much time, but I can get into it. But I know you said it's the last question. Do I
Yeah.
Yeah.
got
Well,
time?
Well,
Oh,
well,
okay.
we'll let you get into
Oh,
it a little bit. I don't have to tell you that anything over an hour, people just kind of fade out
You
nowadays.
know.
So
okay.
you know what the
Okay.
deal is. So
So,
you can get into it a
so I
little
got.
bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. 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 So my three C's are crime reduction, cultivating citizens, and community building. I went over crime reduction and how I want to incorporate crime reduction between the ages of 13 and 19. But one thing I want to reincorporate is the Big Brother, Big Sister program.
Yes.
A handful of people have reached out to me because they see where the youth is going and what they're up against, and they're willing to help out. So I want to build that program back again and get it in the schools because our students they might not be. I wasn't a student that could talk to my dad and mom because I felt like they were just mom and dad. That's what they're supposed to say, supposed to do. But if we kind of build that relationship, we can kind of build back our community as a village raising the children. The second thing is cultivating the citizens. And cultivating the citizens, as I stated earlier, is I want to educate the citizens. I think the biggest thing is the citizens just don't know what we can and can't do. So I want to be the liaison and educating them. Well, we're going to be getting educated once a month. Before the meetings, we're going to be like, hey, this is the agenda. This is what we're going to go to. This is what we're going to talk about. So when you look at the agenda or you see what's going on and look at the meetings, you are able to keep up. The third thing is community building. I've already spoken about expanding our internship within our children at the schools, but the third thing is I want to help grow the small businesses. Right now we have a grant coming up that Google is offering small businesses money to grow their business, and they're offering them different locations and different techniques of how to do it. I want to get the small businesses ready for those grants that are coming up the pipeline and get the information out there. So how I will measure my success is everything that I've said within my platform. If I don't make those things happen, then you need to pull my trump card. Wink, wink.
Oh, I got you. Hey, one question. I guess another question is, um, I don't know if they still do this, but are the kids still responsible for like a couple hours of community service? No.
No, they're not responsible. No.
See, I would think that we can incorporate that Google stuff to say, okay, every kid in school has to do 10 hours of Google training or something, just to force that issue. They don't know they're learning, but we teach them something.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Back to you, Rod.
All right. Hey, great, Kevin. Hey, so on the last question or the last topic, talking about the long term vision, and you talked about the merging the two police entities, the county sheriff and the
And the
city,
school board.
yeah, the school
Yes.
board. Um, did that um like you still so basically what you're saying is that the city police and the county sheriff would still be separate though, right? Or no?
I, so
Or
when I
or
say
all
merge
under
them, I will.
mhm. Go ahead.
Yeah, all under one umbrella.
So
All under
the
one.
school board police, the sheriff, and the city police.
Yes.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So
So Henry, I tell you, man, I got a million questions to ask you about that, but we just don't have the time. And but
ask me offline because I
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
want to
yeah.
know.
I definitely ask you offline because there's a lot of I don't know how much you've had the opportunity to talk about that because I know you guys are all over the place, and I don't know if this was the first time that you brought up that whole merging of
No,
the yeah. Okay, so
no,
you
this
have.
this this is not the first time. I spoke with Chief Sparks. He's over the city police about it. I spoke with Sheriff Tim Pounds about it,
No,
and
I'm,
I've
I'm, I'm I'm
spoken.
talking about in this
Oh,
kind of setting, like an interview or of some kind of forum in which you're
oh,
running
okay,
for.
okay.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not the first time. That's
Okay.
a part of
Okay.
my first. That's part of my first platform
Okay.
with crime reduction because my biggest thing is if we can build that relationship with the kids again
Yeah.
in the schools, it can definitely possibly lower crime. Because when I was coming up, it was an officer named Officer John Jackson. When I was in the schools, he was there. When I went to the parties, he was there. When I was at the mall, he was there. And now we still have a relationship to this day. So I view police differently than what most people do.
Right, right. Yeah. So, like I said, I was just asking if that was because I'm just there's just a million questions I got to ask you about that. And like I said, we'll talk offline because of time. But everything from is everything from having the sheriff is elected, whereas the police chief is appointed. There would be no police force or whatever that is actually elected and being accountable to the people. Just to put a little bug in your ear, but also the whole school to prison pipeline with cops in school. It's just a lot. You know what I'm saying? That I would have to ask you about that so you can, just expound on it a little bit. But hey, I don't think this is the last time that we will be doing an interview. So but also I would definitely talk with you about those things offline when it come down to merging, all of the police forces that we have in one entity. But look, man, great interview.
Great.
Absolutely great interview. You definitely handled your business. I'm glad that some people feel like we're gonna do something to them when they come on here. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's just not the case. Kevin and I, we're not like that, man. We're both military veterans, man, and so we know how to handle business. We know how to do with people, and so we appreciate you coming on. It was absolutely so. We want to give you one opportunity before we get out of here to let people know, hey, how they can donate, how they can reach you. Close it out for us, bro. Oh man, he froze up. Okay, well, he got most of it out.
Kind of
Yeah,
person sellout.
yeah. So, but anyway, he did a good interview, and hopefully
Very good.
everything will upload. Oh goodness gracious, what? Okay, hold up. Now I got stuff popping up. Kevin, you can still hear me, right?
I hear you. We dropped
Okay,
Henry.
all right. Yeah, I can hear you, Kevin. I got stuff popping up. I don't know what's going on with all that. But anyway, let me get rid of this stuff. So that being said, yep, we lost him completely. But thank goodness we warned about the technical issues that we might have, and at least it went all the way to the end. So with that being said, Kevin, on behalf of my co-moderator Kevin Evans, man, I appreciate everything that you do. And until next time, we will see you out in them streets and them suites. See you next time. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you have show ideas or want to be on the show? Shoot us an email at blackmansroundtable@gmail.com. And please follow us on Facebook. 1